just record it and talk about it. So here's a doctor, Doctor Sleep, sleep doctor. He doctors you while you sleep. So he touches people in their sleep. He's like a dentist, but he hasn't been caught. And so he, so that's a Stephen King book. So I'm guessing, because Stephen King wrote the book of this when he was old, so I guess there's going to be a lot of stuff in at least the book of Doctor Sleep, probably the movie, they're not going to realize to take it out, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that would appeal to an old man. Like, there's going to be these dogs like the dog jumps up into the Jeep, and it jumps right, just like in the commercials, and the dog, like, it's the guy's sort of looking out in the distance at some point in the movie, Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan Kenobi is Dr. Sleep. He's a sleep doctor, and so it's supposed to be the sequel, and then, but he has bad dreams, so he still isn't over his childhood problems. I bet Stephen King has problems from his childhood that he's not over. And so there's a lot of, like, Stephen King dealing with his own personal problems by giving them to Obi-Wan Kenobi. So Obi-Wan Kenobi, let's see, he's Danny Torrance. So he talks to his finger, Eddie Joe Bob, or whatever his name was. And let's see what happens. So he's been doing that. Maybe that kind of feels old. He's a psychiatrist, a psychologist. He pushes pills. We're going to see him pushing pills on somebody, and he'll give pills because that cures your problems. And somebody can't feel good about, I don't know, their relationship with their husband or something like that. This is in the establishing part in the first 20 minutes, probably the first 15 minutes of the movie. We're going to see a segment of Obi-Wan Kenobi being a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and he's going to give him a script for something. He'll actually write it out. You'll see that'll be in the film, is that you see him write something down and give it to him. So I'll give this to my secretary, and I don't know, it'll probably be some kind of bloom lighting coming in through the windows. He's in New York, and but he lives in Maine or something like that. Anyway, or he has to go back to Maine. Anyway, so then we see, like, part of the end of his day's routine, he lives alone. He can't hold a relationship together. But he's like this super professional guy. When everybody looks at him, they think, oh, this guy must be successful. He pulls down 7 figures or 6 figures, and he's prominent in the community. Maybe he even does speaking engagements. But no, really, he's a shambles, and he can't sleep, and he's always thinking about the Overlook Hotel. And so he starts to have visions that are getting worse. But who can he talk to? Who's the psychiatrist for the psychiatrist? We don't know. Maybe he should take some pills, and he's going to wake up in the middle of the night and put both his hands on the sides of the sink and look up into the mirror. Like, he was looking down in the sink, but then he looks up into the mirror, and he's just, like, pouring sweat, and he looks nervous. He needs to take a bottle of pills out of the medicine cabinet and a clear glass of, but like a tumbler, because he's a drinker. And so he's going to take the same glass that he poured his whiskey into. We might see him drink at some point after that first client is out of there, because he's like his dad. He's a drunk, like dad. And he's going to take the same glass that looks like while he was drinking alcohol in his own house, and he's going to put water from the tap and take his pills with it. Or if they're really pushing the pill thing, I don't know, he might drink it with alcohol, which is crazy because alcohol, like, totally speeds up the interaction of psychotropic drugs with your body, so it's going to be, like, way crazier and way worse. Anyway, but then we're going to cut to some other scene. There's going to be, like, fog coming up out of vents in the ground, and a top hat wearing woman and her friends, and they're like trailer trash, but they're also into that whole that bit where they're, oh, what is it called when it's like you wear top hats and monocles? Steampunk. So they look like steampunk vampires, like some kind of a weird Renaissance Festival reject, and they're gonna suck the life force out of people, and so they're gonna kill somebody, and that's the introduction to them, and it's in the dark, and they like chase them, and then, I don't know, kind of like gang rapey, suck the life out of them thing, and pile on, like they're the vampires from Salem's Lot. But then we get introduced to a girl, a black girl. She's black, And she's going to be Danny Torrance's new patient because she's a shiner. She's got a shiner on her face. Mommy hits her. Daddy's gone. Daddy's a black man. Daddy left. Black men leave. That's why they're black, because they don't stick around. And the differences in sexual physiology between white people, men and women, is a lot bigger than it is with black people, because they've got high serum testosterone levels, and so the women are very similar to the men, and the men don't stick around, and the women are daddies too, and that's why the women take care of their children really bad, because they're like the men, they're bad parents. And so this little girl is she's a shiner too, and the vampire people are all white, and she's black, so she's the hero, and she's good. That's how you know she's good, because she's a black girl. She's going to be the hero. She'll save the day. Danny Torrance, Obi-Wan Kenobi, is a dirty old white man, and he tries to help, and you think he's going to give her Sage of Wisdom, but she's black, so she doesn't need his help, really. She's going to save the day. And for some stupid fucking reason, they have to go to the Overlook Hotel, even though it's an obvious goddamn trap. And maybe they take her there, but probably not. Maybe they just go there for stupid answers instead of trying to find a way to fight off the monster people. And they think, the psychic energy is the only place we can only kill them in the hotel. We have to check in. And, you know, in complete contradiction to, like, the laws of nature, this thing is still standing since, like, 1976, when Stanley Kubrick made the original film. And so that's been almost 50 years, but the building is still there. And when they go inside, there's still, like, there's still carpet on the ground, and the place hasn't caught fire from homeless people, because America's in the middle of a crisis of homeless people that do anything that they want. And there's no drug addicts that we're going to see in the entire movie, even though they're going to go from, like, New York. They'll probably be in Chicago at some point in a diner, and then they're going to go to some other kind of a major city area, and we'll see them have a road trip across America, and there'll be some meaningless, pointless problem somewhere in the second act before they actually get to the Overlook Hotel. That's the third act of the film. But we're not going to see homeless people, and we're not going to see Mexicans running all over the place taking jobs from white people. That won't happen, because this is Hollywood, and Stephen King lives in Maine, and it's still majority white out there. And he's taken his millions of dollars and been able to get away from the destruction of America. So that doesn't play into this at all. And this is a Hollywood film, so they're not going to tell us anything about that anyway. We're just going to have the black girl and the old white guy go to the Overlook Hotel. And I guess that's probably where Terry Thomas is going to die. Because Thomas the Tank Engine, he's old and white. He's the past. The little black girl is the future. He's going to die to save her, but he didn't need to. He actually could just die on his own. We don't need him. Fuck him. I don't know. We're in the Overlook Hotel. Maybe there'll be some reference to Jack Nicholson. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be Jack Nicholson anyway. He's an old man. He's a dirty old white man. We don't need white men in this country. This is no country for old white men. This is Stephen King country. So there's probably going to be something maybe with a noose and some bleach that they try and kill the little black girl with, but it doesn't work. And the Chicago PD get called out. And it turns out it was a bunch of Nigerian vampires that she hired so that she could get good press. But they're going to blame it on white Trump-supporting trailer trash vampires, because the white people that live in trailers, that's how Stephen King wrote the vampires in the book, and that's how they look in the movie. But they look like steampunk vampires, because it's trying to obscure the fact that he thinks that what's wrong with America is poor white trash, and not illegal immigrants or people from other cultures that are like shafting all the Americans. And the future is the black girl, and the white man must die to save the black girl from white people and kill the white people. The white people are bad. And the doctor's going to go to sleep. the big sleep, the long sleep, the sleep. He's going to sleep 6 feet under at the end.